Hello, welcome to the second chapter of Confined Cooking, as in how to cook when you've got more time, but when you might have fewer ingredients and you might be stuck with what you have in your pantry, what you have in your fridge. For me personally, it's what the market has on a weekly basis and what a few of the small shops around me have. So, because this morning it was a bit grey, I was feeling for something a bit more kind of like stodgy, and I think it's going on and off in that it's that beautiful springtime and it's that beautiful British spring weather when it goes from 3 degrees to 17 in just within an hour. So last Saturday when I went to the market, I found a beautiful cauliflower right there. Very British, or very French actually, because in France we do gratin de chou-fleur. It's a staple, like my gran used to make it with like tons of gruyere, a little bit of cauliflower cheese, just better. And then thing is though, for my cauliflower cheese, I don't have any gruyere, so that's one thing. I do have some leftover gorgonzola picante from the Italian deli that's near my house. When I mean near, I mean it's a half-hour walk. Right now it's my daily exercise, basically, and going to find food. I've never really been great on a treadmill anyway, because there isn't an app with a when you can run on the treadmill with like a croissant and a coffee, on the video. If they do that, I'll start running maybe, but that's it. What else? And yeah, when you think about cauliflower cheese, it's just kind of, I did mention stodgy. It's gonna be like, white and here a bit of blue. Because I also want some greens, but I kind of want to save my other greens. I've got spinach in the fridge. I've got a few other things, but I would, I'm kind of limited for the week. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do two things. For my cauliflower cheese, I'm going to use the leaves as well, because we don't use the leaves very much, but I don't see why not. They're very good. They give a bit of color as well. I actually saw Jamie Oliver use the leaves in a show recently for his cauliflower mac and cheese, so there you go. So I'm going to do the same. And also, I've got some celery left. It needs to be cooked at this point, and I did use it for a soup, for radish leaf soup actually yesterday, but I still have some, so I think some of it's going to go in a stir fry later, but I'm going to use some of it for this potentially. Also, if you're familiar with cauliflower cheese, usually I would need, to make a bechamel with it, and I don't have any flour. I just don't. It's just not gonna happen. I do have a bit of milk from the market, raw milk, whole milk. So because it's whole milk, I don't need to add any cream or anything like that. This is all good. Because it's raw, it needs to be done today. I really like raw milk, but you've got to be careful with that. However, I do find that the consistency of raw whole milk is very creamy, and if you want to make crème anglaise, if you want to make chocolate custards, all these things, it's very, very, very good. So yeah, because I don't have any flour, back to the flour, and I don't have any butter either, by the way, because I don't have any flour, this is going to happen. I have some potatoes because I'm making brandade de morue for Good Friday. It's a Franco-Mediterranean dish. It's a fish pie with bacalao. So I've got some potatoes. So I'm going to use one of those potatoes to give some consistency to my cauliflower cheese. And instead of butter, I've got some olive oil. So this is going to be my base for practically everything. Just a side note about the gorgonzola. Usually, I'm very patriotic about my cheese. If it's blue cheese, I will have Roquefort, Formule d'Ambert, Bleu d'Auvergne. Morbier, I won't have gorgonzola, but I'm stuck with it. And what I found when I tried the gorgonzola, is that I mean, personally, I just don't like it to eat it like that. So like Roquefort, I can have it on a croissant, I can have it in a salad because it's more crumbly. Even the picante, the gorgonzola picante, is quite sweet, and it's got this, I don't want to say rubbery, but the texture is different, you know. So because of that, this is why I'm really keen on actually cooking it and making a sauce out of it, because I'm guessing it's going to be my first time cooking with gorgonzola, but I'm guessing that it's actually going to work quite well in a sauce kind of environment. So let's get to it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to, as you see, fry my potatoes a little bit. And I'm gonna add my milk. So yeah, I'm done with my milk, at least for now. So I'm going to put it back in the fridge because, again, like I said, it's raw milk. You know, you've got to make sure it doesn't sit around because then it'll go bad and you could get very ill. Again, another one. So while my potatoes are slightly cooking in my milk for my sauce, for my impromptu sauce, I'm going to prep my cauliflower. So as I mentioned, I want to keep the leaves. So I'm going to need to wash this cauliflower, you know, very well. So to make sure that all those bits are discarded. Yeah, so I'm going to make sure that everything, you know, is nice and clean so I can use the leaves. You know, then I'm going to slice them and we'll saute them so that they're ready to go soon. Right, so I've got my sauces cooking over there still. I've got my leaves all washed and kind of dried and separated from my florets, which are also, you know, also nice and clean. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a few things. I've got the stems, they've also been washed. I'm going to add those stems to my sauce. Just because, you know, we just said we're not wasting anything. I think they belong there. You know, we're gonna mash it later, so that will work. And also, because I'm still a little kid, I'm also going to keep some of the florets raw like this for a little appetizers. When I was a kid and my gran used to make cauliflower cheese, she always kept a few florets with me raw that she would make with a little vinaigrette, so that before lunch, when I was getting peckish, I could also have my, you know, a few, in French we say crudité. It's raw veg, like, as in, I think one of the big French traditions is usually before we have our main course, in a lot of meals, we have like a raw carrot or like a tomato or like raw cauliflower, you know, before a meal, so that we don't starve, you know, completely starving by the time we don't starve to death and you know, eat like all the bread before a meal. So yeah, so that's gonna be for my appetizer. And I'll make a little mustard vinaigrette with it. My gran used to just like put me like a little bowl of like red wine vinegar. You know, sometimes with just red wine, you know, vinegar, olive oil, salt and pepper in little ramekins, and I would just dip the florets and that would be it. So yeah, I've got my water boiling, so I'm going to put it on medium to high heat so that my florets just blanch a little bit. With cruciferous vegetables, you never want to overcook them, because you know, it's like when you get that really, really terrible smell, it's when they're overcooked. Like, I hated Brussels sprouts as long as I was in France, because the school Brussels sprouts just overcook them all the time. So yeah, you always want to, if it's broccoli, if it's cabbage, if it's you know, cauliflower, braised, usually they work quite well, like sauteed, cooked in fat, but if you're gonna boil them, it really has to be al dente, because otherwise, you know, or in French we would say al dente, it's Italian, but you know, say it that way. So yeah, like I would really make sure that you don't overcook them. So just blanch them, salted water, you know, medium to high heat, just, you know, like just a few minutes. Meanwhile, I'm also going to chop and to saute my my leaves. You know, we're gonna bake them later, so you don't want to overdo it. This is actually, speaking of baking, this is actually a good moment to turn my oven on at 180 degrees, because, you know, this isn't going to take a very long time to cook. My oven does heat up like very, very quickly, so I definitely don't need very much. You know, a lot of time. If you've got an oven that takes, you know, that's like a little, you know, a bit old, then, you know, your oven do, you know, turn it on accordingly. So yeah, this is what's happening. So we've got the leaves, you know, being fried in the pan, like for a little bit, and then we've got that that makeshift bechamel sauce that will be our blue cheese sauce in a few minutes. Right, so I'm actually kind of hungry like right now. I'm getting a little peckish, and I know my things are gonna be okay. I'm not burning down the house. So I've actually made a little bit of, I put a little bit of white wine, vinegar and lemon infused olive oil in a little ramekin, just right here. And I've got my florets, and I'm just going to, you know, casually load them on my shoulder to see that nothing's burning, and just, you know, have a bit of a snack while the rest is cooking itself, really. Yeah, I should probably kind of look at it though. You know, you got some nice greens there. I could cook them a bit more, but they're going to the oven later, so I think that's good. So that's boiling. So it's time to, you know, it's time to take the heat, to turn the heat off. It's definitely time to take the heat off. And this has been thicker, so we're going to add the cheese. So I've diced my gorgonzola. And all I'm gonna need is to make it go into this. There you go. And I'm going to stir, and then so there you go. So I'm ready to. So now for the final step. This is the only dish I have. I just realized that fits the size I need. So I'm going to start putting everything here. Always to play it safe, I always bed my, you know, my baking sheets, my baking pans with a little bit of olive oil. Don't really need to, but it's a habit. So I'm going to actually, because I've got quite a few leaves, I'm going to do a bit of a bottom lining with my leaves. I'm going to put some cauliflower, some florets there on the bed. So on the bed of leaves, I've got, you know, I've got done. By the way, I do this with my fingers because I'm basically a savage, and also because I don't really feel heat that much. But I definitely, you know, I wouldn't recommend it. Yeah, and I haven't put any salt because I'm not used to cooking with much salt. I always prefer adding the salt last minute if, you know, if my taste buds like tell me like, yeah, put more salt. So I'm going to, you know, put a bit more here. And I'm going to show you because from here it's hard. So yeah, this is what I've done so far. I've just put a few. There's some at the bottom already. You know, and I'm just going to cover the rest. You know, cover the rest with this. I'm now wondering, you know, if this had been just with Swiss cheese. You know, if this had been a Swiss cheese thing, a Gruyere, you know, Gruyere thing, or maybe a Comté thing, I would absolutely have, so I would absolutely have put garlic with it. I do like my cauliflower with my garlic. Okay, that actually, I think I just burnt myself. But this time, because it's blue cheese and it's picante, it's gorgonzola picante, I think it'll be fine. Yeah, so similarly, some people put mustard, as well with the sauce with the cauliflower cheese, and I find that absolutely wonderful when you have a sweeter, nuttier, milder cheese. Not the case with our gorgonzola picante. It's sweet. It is sweet. That's the thing with I find that with gorgonzola, even the one that's not officially sweet, it is sweet. Roquefort, not sweet. So then I'm gonna get rid of this, which I'm probably going to lick to death, when this is all done, when this is baking, and I'm just pouring my blue cheese sauce, my gluten-free, it's gluten-free bechamel, for those who are gluten-free. I'm kind of gluten-free, but I'm also kind of not disciplined at all, so that's my story. So this is what it's looking like before I put it in the oven, and it is creamy and it is cheesy, and this is my first time doing it, but now that I taste it, I could really imagine some lemon zests, a little bit of like grated lemon peel on top of this. I think I might give it something, but next time. I forgot about, I didn't forget. I was thinking, I was having a celery debate, but again, because this is my first time cooking this, I thought, you know what? I'm just gonna see how it is now, and then maybe if I make this later, I'll add, more flavors later. So that's that. And so now I'm going to get it, leave it there for a few minutes until it's ready and crispy and bakey. And I'm gonna finish my florets, in the meantime. Yeah, so when I was talking about not cooking with, not adding salt to this, the other thing is, if you cook with cheese, don't add salt, because cheese has so much salt already. I've just been pretty much emptying, I'm cleaning, I'm doing a pre-clean, so I've just been like polishing off like this sauce. It's, it's good, but it is salty, and that's just the milk, a potato, a little bit of the cauliflower stems, and the cheese. The gorgonzola picante is, if you get into those hard paste, cheeses. Sure, fresh goat's cheese, you might want to add some salt, but if you get a blue cheese, or if you have like a cheddar or red Leicester, you've got plenty of salt there. It's like similarly, if you're making pasta, and you're gonna put some like grated Parmesan or pecorino on your pasta, you don't need salt, because that grated Parmesan is your salt, pretty much. It's like anchovies. You wouldn't have anchovies and salt because it's already salty. I will mention that again, because it's going to be the same thing with canned tuna, and I'll probably make something with canned tuna later, because it's a staple of my confined, kitchen. So I'll definitely do that. And usually, unless you have canned tuna with no added salt, there'll be plenty of salt. So just spare your arteries a little bit. Right, so is it ready? Yeah, it is ready. It's absolutely lovely. So I've just served myself a little portion, and I'm really glad that I didn't put anything else other than just black pepper and just that blue cheese and the cauliflower leaves, because it's plenty of flavor. And yeah, the cauliflower leaves do add a little bit of that nice greenery color. And like that means you don't have to add, spinach to it or anything like that. You've just got your own, your whole meal. Obviously, this is more a vegetarian option. If you've got some chicken that you want to use, I think some chicken breasts might be good with, with this. But I'm eating it. I'm eating it on its own, and it's, and it's great like that. So without further ado, bon appétit.